So hey everyone, I am Anubhav Garg, a management trainee at LawSeco, and I welcome you all in our today's session, Ownership and Possession. As a subject matter expert, we have Gagan Gandhi sir with us. Gagan sir has, if I have to tell about his education, Gagan sir has done his BSc from St. Stephen College and his LLB from Faculty of Law, Delhi University. Gagan sir has more than 12 years of experience in the fraternity, and presently he is the managing partner at Niti Nyaya Law Offices. I'm truly inspired by his vision of speedy justice. So, Gagan sir, thank you so much for being here. It's a truly privilege for me and all the attendees here to learn from you and get a piece of your mind. Thank you so much for uh, being our resource person for this webinar.
Thanks, Anubhav, and once again thanks LawSeco for giving me this opportunity to interact with the participants on this session. I would call it a sequel to my previous session, which was on succession. So, looking at the past engagement of the participants, the benchmark for every session is getting raised for me whenever I take session. So, for the sake of convenience of everybody and to involve everybody, I will be using both Hindi and English as the language. So, pardon me for that, especially participants who are joining from South. Right. आज की डिस्कशन जो है इट विल कंप्राइज ऑफ फॉलोइंग थिंग्स. हम लोग बात करेंगे ओनरशिप की, कितने प्रकार की ओनरशिप है, ओनरशिप और पोजीशन में क्या अंतर है, पोजीशन किन किन प्रकार का पोजीशन है, एडवर्स पोजीशन क्या चीज़ है, पोजीशन अगर मेरा चला गया है तो मैं कैसे उसको रिकवर कर सकता हूँ, व्हाट इज़ द लीगल रेमेडी आई हैव टू एक्चुअली एक्सरसाइज वंस आई हैव लॉस्ट द पोजीशन. एंड देन आई विल टॉक अबाउट इंजंक्शन. इंजंक्शन में किन हालात में इंजंक्शन ले सकता हूँ. एंड देन आई विल टॉक अबाउट सक्सेशन से कैसे मुझे ओनरशिप मिलती है, which although I have covered in my last presentation also, based on inheritance and or based on the will, which is testamentary and intestate. उसके बाद I will talk about the difference between lease and license, which is relevant actually during this COVID-19 pandemic. These topics we will cover during our discussion today, and since it's a very technical topic, so I may not be able to touch upon every aspect of the topic, but the shortcomings or the areas which one should take care in mind, so that A, first to avoid litigation, B, if you have landed yourself in litigation, then how to get things solved at in the shortest possible time. So these are the two things which will govern behind this presentation. Ownership, as the word itself means, it means to enjoy what you have, and this actually is with respect to the entire world. Let's say I have ownership of a particular piece of land, then the entire world knows, and I will be enjoying this piece of land vis-a-vis the entire world. So अब ओनरशिप होने से मुझे क्या क्या राइट्स मिलते हैं. पहला है मेरे पास पोजेशन का राइट है. आई कैन टेक पोजेशन ऑफ दैट पीस ऑफ लैंड. मैं उस लैंड को यूज कर सकता हूँ, उस पर मैं खेती बाड़ी करूँ, उसमें मैं बिल्डिंग बनाऊँ, उसको मैं रेंट पे दूँ, वो सब कर सकता हूँ. उस लैंड को मैं मैनेज कर सकता हूँ. I can manage the way I want to use it. Then right to capital, I can earn capital out of that piece of land. Then I can generate income from that piece of land by putting it on lease or by giving it on license. So these are the 5 rights which generate from any ownership. अब हम नेक्स्ट देखेंगे
What
कि
is the difference between right to capital and right to ownership? Right to income, sorry.
right, yeah, that's a very good question. Right to capital is that you can mortgage that piece of land and get the capital generated, and based on that mortgage you can any bank can give you the capital to do any piece of work in future. I hope that answers, Anubhav.
So if I rent my land to someone to XYZ, the
Right.
rent I receive is income. But if I mortgage my land to a bank,
Yes.
The loan money I receive, it is called capital.
Yes. Absolutely,
So where does this adjust? If the price of the land increase, that increase, where it will fall?
If you want to sell off that land, then that will fall under the bracket of right to capital.
Understood.
You can sell that land and generate capital out of it. अब हम बात करेंगे कि ओनरशिप किन किन प्रकार की ओनरशिप है. So these are the various ownerships which you will come across. Vested ownership. Vested ownership is the ownership which vests in you. जो right आपके पास आ गया है. अब this ownership you can actually self acquire this ownership. आप ये property खरीद सकते हैं and then you can have a vested ownership. आपके ऊपर property devolve कर सकते हैं. Suppose your ancestor, they purchased the property and they passed away. You being the legal heir of your ancestors, that property will actually vest in you. So that is the vested ownership. Then we come to contingent ownership. Contingent ownership is if it is contingent to happening of an event. Let's say if I pay all my loans, then I will become owner of that particular flat or that particular piece of land. So that's a contingent ownership. I will become owner of that vehicle once I pay off all my EMIs, right? Then there is sole ownership. As the word says, your sole there is sole ownership, and comparison to that is joint ownership. दो या तीन लोग मिलके ओनर हो सकते हैं, या एक अकेला आदमी भी किसी चीज का ओनर हो सकता है. Especially in case of a joint family property, you have co-ownership. Like my siblings and me, we are co-owner to the property. Then you have corporeal ownership. Corporeal is something which is tangible, which you can feel, which the word, it comes from the corporeal, right? So let's say you have a piece of land, that's corporeal ownership. Then comes incorporeal, like goodwill, like patent, like copyright, which you can feel, which you cannot touch upon. So that's incorporeal ownership. I enjoy a goodwill, or I have a trademark registered in my name. So that's the incorporeal ownership. Then you have equitable ownership, beneficial ownership, and absolute ownership. So as we uh, proceed, we will talk about the differences in these ownerships and how these different kinds of ownerships play a vital role in determining the course of action. Possession. Possession is something which you possess. It is actually a physical contact, and then you retain something with the intention of holding it for the purpose of your own use. So that's a possession. You may be owner of something, but you may still not have possession of that piece of thing. So ownership and possession are two different concepts. Whereas you may have a possession of something, but you may not be owner of that particular piece of thing. There is a saying which goes that कब्जा सच्चा, मालिकाना हाथ झूठा, which means कि अगर आपके पास किसी चीज का कब्जा है, तो that means that you are the deemed owner of that piece of land or that particular property. You are the actual user of that particular piece of land. उसी कंसेप्ट से derive होता है the concept of adverse possession. We will talk when we talk about the kinds of possession in this particular piece of slide. Actual possession is that you are in actual possession of something. Adverse possession, which I was talking about, is adversarial to the actual owner or to the true owner. Let's say I am a tenant, I am in possession of a flat. Now, I deny the ownership of the landlord, and landlord knows this fact that his ownership has been challenged. Then, जो मेरे पास possession होगा, it will be adverse. The word itself shows that it is adverse to the true owner. अब इसके अंदर चीज ये है कि अगर 12 साल तक if the true owner does not challenge my ownership or my possession, then I become the owner of that particular piece of that flat. In the recent judgment of Supreme Court, अगर किसी के पास adverse possession है, तो that not only is a shield but also acts as a sword, which means that पहले तो आप defend कर सकते थे अपने आप को खाली, अब आप एडवर्स पोजीशन के बेसिस पे यू कैन फाइल अ केस अगेंस्ट द ट्रू ओनर टू गेट योरसेल्फ डिक्लेयर्ड एज द ट्रू ओनर, because your ownership or your possession has not been challenged by the true owner. Then you have exclusive possession, which you exclusively enjoy, then which is vis-a-vis a joint possession, which you enjoy in the company of others. You have a forcible possession. Hostile possession. Hostile possession is actually an ingredient for an adverse possession. तो adverse possession के लिए hostility होना जरूरी है. Independent possession, which is independent of anybody else. I am an independent possession. Then there is a concept of lawful possession, that I have been given lawful possession of that flat or that piece of land, or for the sake for that car or anything. Whereas if I take the possession unlawfully by force, then that my possession can be challenged in the court of law. We are going to discuss that what are the remedies for that, because the law in India recognizes that the possession you can only be dispossessed by the due process of law. मैं अगर कोई इलीगल पोजीशन में भी बैठा हुआ है तो मैं उसको जबरदस्ती उसका पोजीशन डिस्पोजेस नहीं कर सकता. दैट इज द लॉ ऑफ द लैंड. अगर किसी टेनेंट ने जबरदस्ती मेरे मकान पे कब्जा कर लिया है, मैं उसको बाहर नहीं फेंक सकता. I have to follow the due process of law. Due process of law is that you have to approach the court of law. That is why you see majority of the cases pending in the courts, because people take benefit of the judicial system and they actually resort to the hostile possession or unlawful possession, because once you have the possession, then they know that they can only be dispossessed by the due process of law. Then you have a peaceful possession. For peaceful possession there is a उसके सामने विपरीत ये है कि आपका अगर पोजीशन पीसफुल नहीं है तब आपका पोजीशन एडवर्स माना जाएगा. अगर आपके पोजीशन को डिस्टर्ब किया जा रहा है, आपके पोजीशन को चैलेंज किया जा रहा है, इसका मतलब कि वो पोजीशन जो है वो एडवर्स है, एंड एडवर्स टू द ट्रू ओनर. देन यू हैव सेटल्ड पोजीशन, दैट nobody is challenging your possession. You are in peaceful possession of that particular piece of land or flat or whatever it may be.
All right. Sir, I had this small question.
Yes.
If you don't mind me asking, what is the difference between settled possession and peaceful possession?
Settled possession is when I give you, let's say आपने मेरे से किराए पे फ्लैट लिया, आपको मैंने चाबी दे दी, and I am not challenging your possession. That means I am accepting your possession, which is peaceful possession. Whereas once I give you a key, lock and key, and then you are in peace, although you are in peaceful possession, but I do not let you keep your goods inside that flat or that piece of land, then I am challenging the taking over of that possession, right? So that's the difference between a peaceful and a settled possession. I hope that answers your query, Anubhav.
I think we can follow up later on in the session.
Okay. Concept of adverse possession, why it is very important is, once the possession has been challenged and the true owner does not do anything for the period of 12 years, then the person who is in the possession, he can approach the court of law based on the adverse possession. He can actually, he can take title of that possession, he can claim title over that piece of land. अब एडवर्स पोजीशन के इंग्रेडिएंट्स क्या हैं कि पहला वो हॉस्टाइल होना चाहिए टुवर्ड्स द ट्रू ओनर. इट शुड बी इन द नॉलेज ऑफ एवरीबडी. पब्लिक की नॉलेज में होना चाहिए. आपके पास एक्चुअल पोजीशन होना चाहिए. ये नहीं कि आपने ताला लगा के रख दिया बट यू आर नॉट रिजाइडिंग देयर. पीसफुल होना चाहिए. पीसफुल टू द सेंस दैट इट हैज नॉट बीन चैलेंज्ड बाय द ट्रू ओनर. Then it should be continuous. ये नहीं कि 2 साल के बाद आप निकल गए फिर दोबारा आ गए. It should be continuous for the purpose of calculation of time period. Here the time period is very critical. That why it has, the legislation in its wisdom उसने decide किया कि 12 साल का time period होना चाहिए. So that is the continuous That is how it should be continuous in nature. And then you should be having an exclusive possession. There should be nobody else who is in possession with you to claim title based on adverse possession. अब हम आते हैं कि अगर हमारा पोजेशन हमें डिस्पोजेस कर दिया गया है तो देन हाउ वी कैन गेट इट रिकवर्ड. सेक्शन 5 ऑफ स्पेसिफिक रिलीफ कहता है कि यू कैन रिकवर पोजेशन बेस्ड ऑन द ओनरशिप व्हिच इज बेस्ड ऑन द टाइटल एक्चुअली, whereas section 6 talks about the recovery of the possession based on the possession. अगर मुझे डिस्पोजेस कर दिया गया है, किसी ने मुझे डिस्पोजेस कर दिया है मेरे पोजेशन से, सो अगर मैं 6 महीने के अंदर फाइल करता हूं तो देन आई कैन फाइल इट अंडर सेक्शन 6. अब सेक्शन 6 का एडवांटेज क्या है कि यू डू नॉट हैव टू पे दी कोर्ट फीस, एड वलोरियम कोर्ट फीस. एड वलोरियम कोर्ट फीस वो है जो आप टोटल सूट वैल्यू की प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर परसेंटेज 1% या 1.5% जो कोर्ट फीस बनती है वो आप पे करते हैं. दैट इज द एडवांटेज व्हाई पीपल फाइल इट अंडर सेक्शन 6. And the requirement for filing under section 6 is that it has to be filed within the period of 6 months from the date of disposition, right? Suit for recovery, if you have been dispossessed without your consent, then you can file for the suit of recovery. अब section 6 का advantage क्या है कि that there will be no suit. एक तो ये है कि there will be no appeal which will lie after that order or decree. तो section 6 की अगर order और decree आ गई है तो उसकी अपील नहीं है, which actually reduces the time period for litigation. कि अगर आपको डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट ने डिपेंडिंग ऑन दी जुरिस्डिक्शन, अगर आपको डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट ने आपके फेवर में डिक्री दे दी है तो उसकी अपील लाई नहीं करेगी हाई कोर्ट में, आपका टाइम वेस्ट नहीं होगा. अच्छा, इसके अंदर एक चीज है कि अगर आपने सेक्शन 6 में फाइल किया है देन देयर इज नो बार दैट यू कैन नॉट फाइल इट बेस्ड ऑन टाइटल आल्सो. आप टाइटल के बेसिस पे भी फाइल कर सकते हैं, आप पोजीशन के बेसिस पे भी फाइल कर सकते हैं, दोनों तरीकों से फाइल कर सकते हैं आप. अगर मान लो मैं टेनेंट हूं एंड लैंडलॉर्ड एक्चुअली थ्रोज मी आउट ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी, देन आई हैव द रेमेडी अंडर सेक्शन 6 ऑफ द स्पेसिफिक रिलीफ एक्ट. एंड दिस फॉर दिस रेमेडी टू बी एक्सरसाइज्ड मेरे को 6 महीने के अंदर मेरे को सूट फाइल करना है एंड मेरे को प्रूव करना है कि मैं उस प्रॉपर्टी के पोजीशन में था. 6 महीने के टाइम पीरियड के अंदर मैं उस प्रॉपर्टी के पोजीशन में था. अब हम आते हैं इंजंक्शन. इंजंक्शन का जो काम है वो ये है कि या तो आदमी को कंपेल करे कि कुछ करो या उसको रोके कुछ ना करने से. मान लो मैं टेनेंट हूँ, लैंडलॉर्ड मुझे परेशान कर रहा है, कभी पानी फेंक देता है, कभी मिट्टी डाल देता है, कभी कुछ करता है, कभी गाली गलौज करता है. अब मेरे पास लीगल रेमेडी क्या है? मैं कोर्ट जाता हूँ, कोर्ट से कहता हूँ कि इसके खिलाफ इंजंक्शन ऑर्डर पास करो कि ये मेरे घर में पानी ना फेंके और मेरे घर का पानी बंद ना करे, मेरा बल्ब ना तोड़े. दैट इज व्हाई वी सीक इंजंक्शन इन द कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ. इंजंक्शन ये आप देखेंगे तो ये 5 तरीके के इंजंक्शन है. टेम्पररी इंजंक्शन जो लेते हैं जब तक आपका सूट चल रहा है, जब तक आपका फैसला नहीं हो जाता. मान लो लैंडलॉर्ड टेनेंट का डिस्प्यूट है, मान लो दो भाइयों का डिस्प्यूट है, मान लो किसी प्रॉपर्टी को लेके कोई झगड़ा है, तो जब तक वो डिसाइड नहीं हो जाता टाइटल किसका है तब तक आप टेम्पररी इंजंक्शन ले सकते हैं. इंजंक्शन लेने की 3 कंडीशन होती हैं. पहला, बोनाफाइड रिक्वायरमेंट, आपको साबित करना है कि आप बोनाफाइड ही हैं. दूसरा, इर्रिपेरेबल लॉस, अगर उस नुकसान को भरपाई हो सकती है तो तब कोर्ट आपको इंजंक्शन नहीं देगी. तीसरा, बैलेंस ऑफ कन्वीनियंस, अगर बैलेंस ऑफ कन्वीनियंस आपके फेवर में है तभी कोर्ट आपको इंजंक्शन ग्रांट करेगी. मान लीजिए आपका लैंडलॉर्ड पानी फेंक के आपको तंग कर रहा है, आप टेनेंट हैं, उसकी भरपाई कहीं नहीं हो सकती. जो परेशानी आपको पानी फेंकने से हो रही है या बिजली बंद करने से हो रही है, उस परेशानी को आप क्वांटिफाई नहीं कर सकते. If that cannot be quantified, then you are actually entitled for injunction. अब इंजंक्शन के जो ये प्रकार हैं, अलग अलग प्रकार हैं. पहला है कि टेम्परेरी, जो ऑर्डर 39 1 and 2 में हम लेते हैं सीपीसी के अंदर, सिविल प्रोसीजर कोड के अंदर. फिर आता है आपका एड इंटरिम इंटरलोक्यूटरी इंजंक्शन, आपको कुछ टाइम तक मिलेगा ये इंजंक्शन, उसके बाद जब दूसरी पार्टी आ जाती है, जब दूसरी पार्टी को सुना जाएगा, तो हो सकता है ये आपका इंजंक्शन जो मिला था, इंजंक्शन का अगर हम लूज भाषा में, लेमन भाषा में बात करें, तो एक प्रकार से स्टे है कि आपको स्टे मिल गया कि आप XYZ काम नहीं कर सकते या आपको ये काम करना है। अब परपेचुअल और परमानेंट इंजंक्शन, मान लो मेरा राइट ऑफ वे है, मेरी गली है, गली में किसी ने कोई कोई गली को ब्लॉक करके रखता है, अब मेरे को वो राइट ऑफ वे इस्तेमाल करने के लिए नहीं मिल रहा है, तब मैं कोर्ट जाऊंगा और कहूंगा कि मुझे राइट ऑफ वे इस्तेमाल करने दिया जाए, बिकॉज दैट्स माई राइट टू ईजमेंट, एंड आई विल आस्क फॉर परमानेंट इंजंक्शन कि मेरे को हमेशा के लिए ही इसको डायरेक्शन दी जाए, जो भी आदमी मेरा रास्ता ब्लॉक कर रहा है, कि भैया मुझे इस्तेमाल करने दिया जाए, जितना अधिकार आपका है उतना अधिकार मेरा भी है इस गली के ऊपर, तो वो बंद ना किया जाए। उसके बाद आता है मैंडेटरी इंजंक्शन कि आपने एक कोई काम करना चाहा, वो काम नहीं करने दिया जा रहा। मान लो आप कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रहे हैं एंड देन आपके कंस्ट्रक्शन में कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट करा जा रहा है, देन यू विल गो टू द कोर्ट एंड आस्क फॉर मैंडेटरी इंजंक्शन कि ये मुझे काम करने दिया जाए। कोर्ट उसको डायरेक्शन दे कि भैया मेरी बाधा मत बनो मेरे कंस्ट्रक्शन के अंदर, मेरे को इसमें मदद करो आप। देन प्रोहिबिटरी इंजंक्शन कि आप मान लीजिए आप मूवी आ गई, रिलीज हो गई, आप उसमें कॉपीराइट वायलेशन हो गया, आप कोर्ट जाते हैं, अरे ये तो मेरी स्क्रिप्ट थी, चोरी कर ली गई और ये मूवी रिलीज होने जा रही है। आप जाएंगे कोर्ट से और कहेंगे कि इसमें प्रोहिबिशन, दिस मूवी शुड नॉट बी रिलीज्ड till it is decided actually that there is a copyright violation or not, whether that director has actually cut copy pasted from my book or my script without my permission or not, then you can go to the court and ask for prohibitory injunction.
Sir, I have two doubts.
Yes.
In the previous slide, yeah. So, what is the difference between temporary injunction and ad interim injunction?
टेम्पररी इंजंक्शन जो आपको मिलेगा वो मिलेगा जब तक आपका सूट डिसाइड नहीं होता है। एड इंटरिम मिलेगा आपको कि कुछ टाइम तक, मतलब एक्स पार्टी इंजंक्शन जिसे कहते हैं। लेट्स से आप गुड्स आपके कॉपी हो रहे हैं, आप नाइकी के जूते बनाते हैं और कोई आदमी, दूसरा आदमी भी नाइकी के जूते बना रहा है, आप कोर्ट के अंदर पहले दिन गए कि ये जूते बंद किए जाएं, कोर्ट विल ग्रांट यू एड इंटरिम इंजंक्शन विदाउट लिसनिंग टू द अदर पार्टी, whereas temporary injunction will be given you for the period for which the suit is carrying on, जब तक डिसाइड नहीं हो जाता है कि एक्चुअली आदमी नाइकी के जूते बना रहा है, आपके कॉपी कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा है। That's the difference between the two.
All right. So, if there is no problem, then can I ask how does court decide whether to grant interim injunction or not?
अगर कोर्ट को लगता है कि नुकसान जो है that cannot be compensated, जैसे मैंने बताया पहली कंडीशन है it should be irreparable loss। अब वो अगर मेरे को नाइकी के जूते, it has come to my knowledge कि मैं नाइकी का ओनर हूँ, मैं फ्रेंचाइजी हूँ और मेरे कोई कॉपी करके जूते मार्केट में बेच रहा है, तो immediately I will go to the court, because if that shoes are being copied on a daily basis, I cannot quantify the loss which I will incur. Hence, the court has to grant me injunction. That's called ad interim injunction. बिना सुने उसको, क्योंकि otherwise you will violate the principle of natural justice, आपको उसको सुनना आवश्यक है। इस केस में आप उसको बिना सुने भी मुझे इंजंक्शन ग्रांट कर सकते हैं। Actually, it's called John Doe order. John Doe is something whom I have not seen. एक अननोन आदमी के खिलाफ मैं ऑर्डर ले रहा हूँ, मुझे मालूम नहीं है वो कौन है।
All right. So, Yash has asked a question: can injunction be passed in cases leading to trespass?
Definitely, yes, definitely. The purpose of injunction is to avoid that, actually, to avoid trespass from taking place. अगर आपको लगता है, if you have an apprehension कि your land can be trespassed by somebody, then you can seek. But हाँ, इसके अंदर ये है कि आप सिर्फ शंका के ऊपर नहीं कर सकते कि अगर मुझे कल, then everybody will obtain injunction against everybody. आज मुझे लगता है कि मेरे घर में कोई घुस सकता है, but then that person I should know that person. The court should know against whom the injunction is being granted. It is not that against the entire world you will seek injunction. So against whom you are seeking injunction, that person should be identified. I hope that answers yes query.
Understood. All right, sir. Is prohibitory injunction limited to IPR? Joseph Gregory has asked.
I can only think of that, but yes, it can be applicable in other situations also. I can think of an IPR only. Prohibitory injunction, yes, yes. Suppose you have a flyover coming up, and you are in that project. You think that number of trees will be cut, then you can seek a prohibitory injunction. That till the time it is decided that flyover is or the trees should not be cut, the court can grant you prohibitory injunction.
Understood. And Kunal Pandey has asked, can injunction be passed in cases of nuisance by neighbor?
यस ये डेफिनेटली यस यस आपके अगर वो मान लीजिए जैसे मैंने बताया पानी फेंकते हैं, आप कूड़ा गिराते हैं आपके आगे छत छत से, आपको परेशान करते हैं, देन यू कैन सीक इंजंक्शन अगेंस्ट देम योर नेबर्स. यस आपके ईजमेंट्री राइट्स को अगर ब्लॉक करते हैं, आपके हवा के आपके रोशनी के जो वो है उसको अगर वो ब्लॉक करते हैं बाय कंस्ट्रक्टिंग एनीथिंग, देन यू हैव द राइट टू सीक इंजंक्शन because that's your easementary right which is being violated.
All right. Someone has asked you to stick to English.
Sorry.
Someone has asked, yeah, it has been requested for you to please restrict yourself to the usage of English.
Okay. I'm more comfortable in that actually, but last 3 sessions I was getting a feedback that keep a mix of Hindi and English. Okay, no problem. I will take care of that.
Yeah. All right. Please continue with the slides,
Yes,
sir.
right.
We are done with the questions.
Right. So this is actually जो मैंने I discussed this in my last session also about succession. So we have two kinds of succession: testamentary and interstate. Testamentary is when you get ownership through a will. You have a document known as will, and the property has been bequeathed to you through the will. If you do not have will in place, then it's called interstate succession, and the law or inheritance will take over, and you will get the right or the ownership or the enjoyment of that property by inheritance, by the laws of inheritance. This is actually a difference between lease and license. Abhi, most of the agreements, rent agreements, they are being opened up. Why they are being opened up? Because the tenants are saying, sorry boss, we are in a bad state of affairs, so we are not in a position to pay you rent. Now every landlord is digging into the agreement or the contract to find out that how he can exercise his right or how he can challenge the financial obligations of the tenant and invoke any clause which is in his favor. So the landlords have realized that most of the agreements which were actually lease agreements, they were given a color of license agreements. So there is a whole lot of difference, and how the law comes into picture on how the law can save you and how the law can put you in dark depending on what was the nature of the agreement. It's like that you actually were living in a live-in relationship, but you wanted to give it a color of marriage. So marriage is actually lease actually, and live-in relationship is a license. So one has to be very careful that what kind of relationship one wants to enter into. License comes from the Easement Act, whereas lease comes from the Transfer of Property Act. In lease, you actually give the right to enjoy the property, whereas in license, you give a permission. You give a license, like you have a driving license. You are given a permission to drive that car. I give you license to run that particular workshop, or I give you license to carry out that particular business. Lease is actually transferable and inheritable, whereas license is not inheritable. So if most of the agreements which you see are there is written his legal heirs and successors, which is actually false, because license cannot be inherited. That's the first red flag in the agreement which you see. Lease comes by virtue of the terms and conditions mentioned there in the agreement, whereas license can be withdrawn at any time. As I mentioned, lessee has a right to protect his possession, whereas in case of license, there is no such right which is being given. And in fact, there is no such right which gets accrued to the licensee. So that's the difference. Why people go for license is A, to save the stamp duty. In case of a lease agreement, you have to get the agreement registered if it is more than 11 months. If it is 11 months, then there is no need for registration. Whereas in case of license agreement, there is no need for registration at all. So this is the main reason. And second reason why people go for license agreement is they think that in case of any difficulty, they can remove the licensee anytime, which actually brings me back to my old question that you cannot dispossess anybody unlawfully. That itself is, I would say, a crime to dispossess somebody from the property through an unlawful method. So these are the broad differences between a lease and a license.
A question has been asked by Savita Patni.
Yeah.
Can tenanted property be given through? This is the question.
Tenanted property be given through means what?
Yeah.
Given through means given to what? This question is not clear. If you can ask her what she means by that.
Yeah. All right. So someone has requested to. This question can be taken on, but I'm just bringing it to your knowledge that someone has requested to explain force majeure according to the recent judgments of Honorable Supreme Court.
Yeah, okay, that's a very good question. Force majeure event. This COVID-19 has already been declared as a force majeure event by Government of India. So there remains no contention that whether COVID-19 situation is force majeure or not. And now, what does force majeure actually does? What it does is that in case you are incapacitated to carry out any obligation mentioned in the contract, then you invoke this clause. And actually, the affected party invokes this clause. Let's say, in case of a landlord and tenant, the tenant would like to invoke this clause that's saying to the landlord that my business is being affected. I cannot discharge my financial obligations. Hence, I will not pay you the rent. Now, what goes behind force majeure is that it has to be seen that you are being prohibited or you are being stopped from discharging your obligation. It's not that you simply invoke force majeure, because financial obligation can otherwise also be discharged by paying through online. Even if there is a lockdown, it does not stop you from making the payment because you are enjoying the property. The landlord has not stopped you from using the property. So where does the question of force majeure come into picture? So that is what the court has recently upheld, that sorry, it cannot be invoked in case of a landlord and tenant, right? So let's say I am an importer of steel. The people have actually delivered the goods to me. Now, to discharge my financial obligations, I invoke force majeure, saying that there is a lockdown and I cannot discharge my financial obligations. The court said, sorry, boss, there is no prohibition. You can distribute the steel to your vendors and discharge your financial obligations. Still, since steel is an essential commodity, so there is no prohibition on you. There is no impediment on you from not discharging your obligation under the contract. So it has to be dealt on a case-to-case basis.
All right. All right, sir. So, sir, that question was: Can tenanted property be leased through? Can tenanted property be given through will?
Tenanted property be given through will? No, because you are a tenant. You do not own that property. So how can I will something which I do not own myself? I have to be an owner. Yeah, landlord wants to give it through will. Yes, definitely, because he is the owner of that property. But if you're thinking from the point of view of a tenant, sorry, boss, you are nowhere in the picture. Your rights, your right tenancy rights are inheritable. So your children, they will, yes, you can will your tenancy rights as long as the landlord recognizes your tenancy. Yes, you're right to that extent. You can will your tenancy rights to somebody whom you want.
Understood. Another question has been asked by Joseph Gregory. Ki how is the valuation of property ascertained?
You have different, you have valuers actually in the market who keep in mind the circle rate, the cost of construction, and other criteria while evaluating the property for the purpose of evaluation, which actually is used while you are seeking probate of your will or while you are seeking letter of administration of your will.
Understood. And stamp duty?
Stamp duty is state to state. It varies from state to state. Like in the case of Delhi, you have 6%, 6% on the total amount of the property, and in case of women, it is 4%. So it varies from state to state. It's a state
All right.
subject.
All right. All right. That's right. The rest of the questions we can take in the later part of the session. Let's not hold the session on the questions only.
I'm done with the presentation, Anubhav.
All right. All right. So, sir, Vishal has asked how to calculate the court fees for constructed property.
This is for the purpose of filing a title suit, I guess. He's asking for title
Yeah.
suit or suit for possession, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to calculate the value of the property based on the circle rate, and then you have to pay if you are not in possession of that property, then you pay ad valorem court fees, which is actually the proportion of the total value of the property. Let's say it will be 1 to 1.5% on the value of the property, whereas if you are in possession of the property, you have to pay fixed court fees for the purpose of filing a title suit.
Understood. And Mohit Bobde has asked, what is the position of gym owner in case of COVID-19? As they cannot use rented property for their business, can they use force majeure?
No, they cannot use force majeure because they are not prohibited from discharging their financial obligations of payment of rent.
Why?
Yeah,
There has been a lockdown, so they actually can't earn any revenue. So how they will pay rent?
that is fine, but this is what in what the court has upheld, that there is no impediment in the in discharging the financial obligations. If they are not in a position to pay, then they simply leave the property. You cannot occupy the property and say I will not pay the rent and invoke force majeure. Force majeure is when there is an act of God. Let's say you are prohibited from, let's say there are floods, there is a war-like situation, which actually prohibits you from doing from discharging your obligation. In this case, you are not being prohibited from discharging your obligation. The landlord has given you property. There is no impediment from usage of that property. You are fully enjoying that property. Now you are saying that I will not pay rent just because there is a lockdown. Then it's better that you leave the property.
Another question has been asked, where it is. Vishal Sharma has asked, sir, how to calculate court fees for constructed? You have already answered it, right?
Yeah, I've already answered it.
Yeah.
He wants to construction. So then based on the rates which are prescribed by the respective civic agencies, you can calculate the cost of construction. And based on the cost of construction, you actually have to pay 1 to 1.5% as the court fees. If you're filing for the suit for title.
All right. And he has this follow-up question. We
Yeah.
need to do valuation of constructed part as well as of land, or what?
Both, yes. While
Uh,
like it's like when you get your sale deed registered, you have both construction part as well as the cost of land. So similarly, you have to get both of them included.
Understood. Great. Please throw some light on adverse possession with respect to the Supreme Court orders along with citations. It is something asked by Arun.
Yeah, I do not remember the citation of that particular judgment,
No one
which has come up recently. But actually, what has that judgment done is that earlier you could only defend yourself based on adverse possession. जैसे कि I am in the possession of a property and I challenge the ownership of the true owner, and I say that I am the owner, and the true owner does not take any action against me for 12 years. Then after 12 years, I will become the owner automatically by virtue of adverse possession, because my possession is adverse to the true owner, that my possession, and this my possession has not been disturbed by the true owner. So hence I can claim title over that particular property based on adverse possession. So that's the recent judgment which has actually given you the sword also to fight against the true owner. So if you sleep over your rights for 12 years, then you lose your rights.
All right, all right. So Sumit Sawant, acha, before taking another question, sir, we also have some questions for attendees to check the understanding, how much understanding we have been able to give them. So shall we put it right now, or I mean in the later part?
Yeah, you can have it right now.
All right. So people, I am putting this
Is
poll.
it in the form of a poll?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's great, Anu. That's good.
So now you guys can, so that people's time don't get
Yes.
wasted. What is the minimum and maximum payment of rent in the commercial and housing areas of villages and city areas of Delhi under the Delhi Rent Control Act? And can payment of rent is assurance of location of the person if he is paying the rent and not leaving that property, not living in that property?
Okay. Yes. The If you want to come under rent control, then the rent actually is 3,500. That's the deciding figure. If you are paying more than 3,500, then you come out of the Rent Control Act. So that is the deciding figure. Now the second question was that if I am paying rent, although I am not residing there, right? So can the landlord evict me based on that? Then actually you have to show that he is paying rent only for the sake of payment of rent to occupy that. He actually is not using that property. Definitely you can get him evicted based on this. He is only blocking the property, he is not using the property. The purpose of that Rent Control Act is to safeguard the tenants, the bona fide tenants who are being harassed by the landlords. So one has to look into the objective of the legislation also.
So in case of adverse possession, yes, Sumedh Savant has asked, I accidentally missed this question. In case of adverse possession, what are the rights of person in possession if the owner of the property is decreased, if the owner of the property is deceased, sorry, and there is no proof of contract between the owner and the person in adverse possession? What are the rights of the heirs of the deceased owner, and can they evacuate the premises?
Yeah, if the LRs of the true owner, they want to evict the person who is actually in occupation or in possession of the property, then they have to show that the possession is not adverse. And actually the onus of adverse possession is on the person who is claiming adverse possession. Let's say if I am claiming title based on adverse possession, the onus is on me to prove. It's not the other way around. The onus is not on the other person to prove that he is not in adverse possession, because you can only prove the existence of a thing. You cannot prove the non-existence of a thing. So that has to be kept in mind.
So I've sent the question. So the question which has been asked to you guys is, what is the remedy if property has been forcibly occupied by the brother? I don't put it as a poll because I don't have answers with me, but you guys can type answer of this question in the chat box only, and Gagan sir at the end will answer the question correctly and explaining all the intricacies. Right, sir?
Yeah,
Sure.
wonderful.
All right. So, can Abhishek Sharma, can we transfer the rent agreement or lease agreement on the name of another tenant?
Brand, yes, you can do that. No, suppose I am the rent agreement is my name. I want to transfer it to somebody else. I cannot do it because that right actually lies with the landlord. Only landlord can do it. I cannot do it. Sorry, boss.
All right.
I think he is getting confused with the inheritance part. That will only come into picture once you are no more. Once you are alive, it is between you and the landlord. So once you are no more, your LRs will step into your shoes.
Understood. While buying a flat, what are the safeguards required to be checked? Required to be checked in case of title.
Or you should have the entire chain with you, where the property starts, right from that point till the property how the property has arrived to the seller. that all you have to keep in mind, you have to get the will in your favor, you have to get power of attorney also in your favor, and you have to check from the registrar office that if there is no court proceedings, or if it is not in litigation, the property is not in litigation. Because if it is in litigation, then you will have a stay order. You have to check for all those things from the registrar's office.
All right.
Then you have to actually read the sale deed very carefully, because in a lot of times there are different clauses which puts you in a trouble at the time of transfer of property. So those things, like suppose you have in the sale deed it's mentioned that you will not dig any thing without seeking the permission of the person residing on the first floor. Then actually if you buy a flat, then you are stuck, you are dependent on the person residing on the first floor, because until and unless he gives you NOC, you will not be able to enjoy your property properly. So all those clauses one has to look into very carefully while buying the property.
All right. So, sir, how about now we answering the question we asked to the attendees? Many people have answered it. So let us start with the very first one. What will be the remedy if my property has been forcibly occupied by my brother?
If my property has been forcibly occupied by my brother, then you have to file for the suit for partition and possession. And depending on whether you are in possession, whether you can actually file for partition and possession. And the important element which one has to look into is that you can say that the possession was permissive in nature. Permissive possession is when you allow on your own to somebody to enjoy that property, which will actually save you the court fees. Because if you are not in permissive possession, which means you are hostile, you are having a hostile possession, then you actually end up paying the court fees on the value of the property. So that is the thing which has to be looked into.
All right. All right. And now coming to the second question, what is the remedy if son and daughter-in-law are harassing their parents? So, intricate one.
Then the parents can actually seek injunction apart from proceeding in the Senior Citizens Welfare Act, whereby they can actually dispossess son and daughter-in-law from their property who are harassing their parents. In the meanwhile, what they can seek is the injunction, because it may take some time to get them evicted. Even if the property has been transferred to son and son-in-law, son and or in daughter-in-law's name, then also if they are not taking proper care of their parents, then also the law gives them the right to evict them.
All right. All right. And third and the last one, which gives you the better title, ownership or possession?
That's very difficult actually. Uh, it, like if I am in possession, and obviously ownership gives you the better title, and actually in the court of law, one who has the better title, he wins. And suppose there are contradicting school of thoughts. The landlord, he approaches the court and says that I am the true owner of the property. The tenant, he approaches the court of law and says, boss, I am the owner of the property by virtue of adverse possession. Right? In first case, in the case of landlord, he has a better title because he has documents. Whereas in the second case, he has to prove that he was in adverse possession. So where comes the element of proof? So then the probability is higher in favor of the first case, which is based on documents. So one who has a better title actually prevails in the court of law. Let's say, suppose you have suppose siblings, they challenge the will, and will is in the name of the elder son. Right now, the elder son has got mutation also done in his favor, in his name, based on the will. He has further sold off the property based on that will, and after that, the other siblings realize that I have to challenge that will. Then they have a very weak case actually. because the better title is in the name of elder son. What were the other siblings doing when he was doing all these activities? When he got mutation done, you did not do anything. When he sold off the property, you did not do anything. Now, after so many years, you got up and are questioning that will. So then the probability is higher towards in the favor of the elder son.
All right, sir. So Pratham has asked this question. If the property is sold to multiple persons over the years, how will the ownership be decided?
No, you cannot sell it to multiple owners. One by one, you can only sell it off. Like you
Yeah.
sell the property to A, then A can sell it to B, B to C. I cannot sell same property to A, B, C simultaneously, or I can sell the share of that property to A, B, C.
Like one floor to some other, one floor to some another.
Exactly.
Please explain the Abhishek Sharma has asked a question. Please explain the concept of announcement of scheme Chief Minister Tenant Power Meter Scheme in Delhi. Okay, good one.
Chief Minister's power. I'm not aware of that scheme actually. So I have to
All
get
right.
back on that.
All right, sir. All right. Next question is Arun has asked, please throw some light on joint ownership, how the property can be acquired or sold, etc. Joint ownership in the
Yeah,
context
right.
of joint ownership.
Yeah. Let's say the property was in the name of father of X and Y. The father passes away. Now X and Y both become joint owner until and unless there is a ownership in favor of one by virtue of a will. If there is no will, then both will inherit half and half. They will inherit 1/3 each, along with the wife of the deceased. So they all three of them actually are in joint ownership of that property after the demise of the father. So that is what is meant by joint ownership.
Uh, he has a follow-up question. No, sorry, this one is a separate question. What if landlord sold the property to another person and he wants to construct the property? What rights the tenant have when the rent agreement has been signed between old landlord and tenant?
Yeah, if the rent agreement says that all the rights will be accrued to the new landlord, then the rights of that property actually get transferred to the new landlord. But where it comes to the question of construction, he cannot disturb the peaceful possession of the tenant while the tenancy is still existing. If the tenancy is over, then the landlord can think of getting the tenant evicted and getting the property constructed. While the tenant is residing, he cannot disturb the peaceful possession of the tenant. The tenant can actually seek injunction against the peaceful possession.
All right. So there is one very interesting question Tarun Kohli has asked. It is around Pagadi system. So in case of wholesale markets in Delhi, most of the occupants pay rent, very nominal rent to the shop owned by group of people, which is Pagadi system.
Right.
In their case, can owners evict such tenants if he intends to use it for his own usage or to the rent out of new tenants at higher rate?
उसमें आप करते क्या हैं? What you do is आप you go back to the original owner, because you have subsequent owners. You go back to the original owner, tell him, boss, you kindly issue that slip in my name. You pay him the actual market rate which is prevailing at that point of time and get that transferred in your name. So actually the possession changes hands, whereas the true owner remains that original landlord who started with.
Or if the original owner has died?
Then LRs will step into his shoes.
All right. Great.
Actually, a lot of litigation is evolving because of this system also, where subsequent owners they sell off the property to the new tenants or new owners without seeking the consent of the original landlord. Then what happens is, when the original landlord or the LRs of the original landlord they come to know of this fact, then they file a case against the new tenant or the subsequent purchaser, saying that this property belongs to me. How can you sell it off? Because the terms and conditions clearly says you cannot sell off the property,
All
since
right.
it's a pagadi system.
All right. Great answer. So Raghav Nagpal has this question. Can the landlord ask for the rent or forfeit security when he has given vacate notice just before lockdown? But because of lockdown, tenant could not evacuate the property because of the lockdown.
No, he wants the landlord to get the property evicted, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
The
that will
landlord
actually.
wants the property to be evicted and forfeit the security, and he has given the notice just before lockdown. But because there is lockdown, the tenant can't evacuate. So what can be done?
Because of lockdown, the tenant cannot.
Evacuate the property. Na?
Okay, evict the property. Evict the property. अगर वो चाहता है लैंडलॉर्ड दैट द टेनेंट शुड गो एंड ही हैज गिवन 1 month.
So I have shared the email ID. It's gagankrgandhi@gmail.com. Someone is also asking me to share mobile number. Sorry, ma'am, I'm not allowed to share mobile number on Zoom chats. If sir allowed me, then we will circulate it in our WhatsApp groups. Those who were asking for PPTs, PPT will be circulated in our the same webinar WhatsApp groups I mentioned. And if you wish to join it, I have already sent the link in the Zoom chat. Also, recording, yes, the recording will be the recording of this webinar will be shared on our YouTube channel named Lawsikho. You guys can search it on YouTube. It's Lawsikho, LAWSIKHO. We have 25,000 subscribers. So all right, before you guys leave, I want to ask for feedback. So can you guys please rate this session on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest, so that I can get a sense of how I performed and whether I was able to pick the brains of the expert or not, and all that. Positive. Thank you, everyone. All right, people. I got your feedback. I got your love. Thank you so much for being so cooperative. It was really insightful for me to interact with you guys. I personally learned a lot. Your questions were really insightful. Thanks for this lovely. Even Gagan sir is back. Arey,
Disconnected actually.
yeah, it's all right, sir. So, because you were lost, I ended the session, but
Okay.
even took the feedback. So most of the feedback is 5-4 excellent session. People are all happy and or flabbergasted with your answers. So yeah. So all right, sir. With this,
Yeah.
I think we can call it a day. I have given them your email ID. They can reach out to you for the unanswered query. And
Right.
yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Anubhav. Thanks for giving me this opportunity and
Pleasure is
for
all.
holding on to this session. It was great.
Okay, people. Adieu. Take care. Break a leg. Bye bye.